Hey, good morning everybody. This is Steve. Welcome to the Little Wood Shop. And as we had mentioned in the intro to this actual project this week, which is our VCarve Pro Fireplace Mantel design, we're going to be showing you how to do the fascia piece as part of our Sunday evening blog and our tutorial package. Okay, now before we get started, the one thing I cannot stress to all of you enough is we're not going to be doing the physical woodworking end of this. I cannot stress this one thing enough, okay? And we're going to read you a little excerpt from the blog itself. Make the proper phone calls and inquiries to the correct individuals. Your local building codes will take precedence over any national fire code. Basically what I mean there is that, let's say National Fire Code says that around the opening to the fireplace itself you need a minimum of 6 inches, we'll say, and these are strictly hypothetics. However, your city or town ordinances have the right to supersede those laws, and they can take it from that opening of 6 inches and maybe they say, no, we don't agree, we want 8, 9, 10 inches for clearance of any combustible material. So please check with your local building inspector, code enforcement officer, check with the fire marshal for your particular town or city ordinance, and make sure you have that. Alright, because if something happens, God only knows, something may or may not be covered. Alright, so please do the research. It's only going to take a couple phone calls, but I cannot urge that for the sake and the safety of you, your loved ones, and your property. Alright? Alright, well, what we have here is, this is basically the print that we're going to be using. This is strictly a sample. Please don't take any of these measurements. This was just this was a picture that I saw. This is the basic hearth or fireplace surround. And where you see the word engraving, that's basically what we are going to be doing. Is strictly that engraving for that piece only. Okay? Now the piece that I have chosen for all of you is in fact this one right here. This is the one we're going to teach you how to put together step by step. To me this was not too difficult to do, but without further ado, we're going to pull up a copy of our VCarve Pro software. We're going to create a new file. Now I told you that our width here was 70 inches. Let me just double check on the other monitor. I have the actual program all put together, so we're cheating just a little bit. Alright, I want to keep everything as close to exact as I can. Alright, so we're going to put in 70.0 inches and our height is going to be 12. Now we are using a true 12-inch wide, a true 70-inch wide by 12 inches high by 1 inch thick. And if I were doing this, I'm a maple guy. I happen to love working with maple as far as hardwoods are concerned. Alright, we click OK. Now what we're going to do is we are piece by piece, we're going to bring this in. Now to copy the physical piece here that we want to do, this involves a total of 3 pieces, and we're going to segment some of them as well, okay? So we will probably jump in and out of there for reference. Now, I am going to drag in the first piece out of the library, which is, this is, I believe, Scene 2, Bear 1. Now, if you can please bear with me. No pun intended. Alright, well, I wasn't going to make you wait for this scene to load, so what we've done is we've brought in, what did I say? It was Scene 2, Bear 1, I believe, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight him. We're going to basically bring in all the pieces that we're going to utilize to build this. Hold down your left mouse button, highlight the whole block, click the bear or one of the trees, and let's move this right up out of the way, because we're going to slowly, little by little, pick this whole scene apart. The next one we're going to import for you will be, it's the Mantario scene, and let me see if I can find it. Okie dokie, here it is, Mantario drawing. Let me pull this one in. Okay. I'm going to highlight it, and I'm going to drag him up to the left-hand corner. Now, this piece is just about the size that I want to use. Now, But one thing I'm going to do is I am going to leave on the edge. We're going to leave a little bit of distance from the edge of the material in case somebody wants to trim this out or trim around it. Okay. I'm going to figure at least a ½ inch. So for the sake of my own little idiosyncrasy in how I do this, let's make this 0.5 by 0.5. We'll apply it. Let's close him. Left click on the mouse. We're going to just drag him over to the edge of the material. Under your selection mode, please go and take and let's highlight this entire piece. And we're going to move him in as close as we can. But like I said, I'm just using that box as basically the offset for this on the edge. Alrighty. Now, we're going to go down to Align Selected Objects and we're going to center him. Now, what I've decided to do, because this is a 12-inch piece of material, we'll highlight him again. We'll go down to Set Selected Object Size. We're 11.5. Leave your link, X and Y axis checked. And I just want to resize him to the 11. I want to kind of leave a ½ inch of clearance all the way around this. We'll click Apply. We are down to 16.614 inches by 11 inches. Alright. Highlight him again. Grab your little center node here if you would. Position him over. We're going to click Align Selected Objects again. And there we go. This piece of the puzzle is now in on a 70 wide by 12 inches high. There's another piece that we're going to bring in here, and it is going to be a cabin. Now there are a couple of cabins in here. The one I'm choosing to use is a Johnny Automatic is the name of the artist in openclipart.org. He does a lot of this type of stuff, so we will definitely give Johnny Automatic a definite shout out and recognition for his nice work here. Now the cabin is currently backwards. I'm going to flip it over to the left. When you drag him in or import him, we're going to highlight him. I'm going to click on his size because I can tell you what I did for him here. And please bear with me for just one moment. Okay, same thing again. I set his height for 11. I make sure that my link X and Y is clicked. I click Apply. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to highlight him again. We're going to come down to Mirror Selected Objects and we're going to flip him to the left. Great. Now, I am going to come back over here and I'm going to steal my little offset square. Double click on him with your left clicker on your mouse. Drag him over. Alrighty. Now, we're going to come down, we're going to highlight the entire cabin under your selection mode or your edit objects. Highlight him. Click on him so you can move him and drag him into place. Now, I want to try to offset him a ½ inch. We're going to have to basically eyeball. Now, we have basically ½ inch clearance all the way around him because I'm thinking that some of you may want to take and trim this out. Okay, now we're going to go in and we're going to pull the bear in. I'm going to pull this vertical line out. We're going to highlight this whole curmudgeon right here. Okie dokie. So, the next piece that we're going to utilize, we'll highlight him. We'll come back over to Transform Objects, and the same thing again. We're going to keep our height consistent at 11.0. Now you notice the width of any one of these pieces never exceeds 24 inches. There's a reason for this, and I told you we're going to keep in mind for the individuals who have a smaller tabletop CNC router or a smaller, maybe they run a CNC laser and they're going to burn this, okay? Keep your link X and Y box checked. Click Apply. Now, We're going to basically position this in. Again, we're going to pull him down. Now you're trying to drag a lot of information. So this will be just a little bit stubborn for you, alrighty? And you're going to have to move it in small increments because it is going to be a little bit stubborn. Now let's take and go to our Align Selected Objects and let's center this piece. Now what I'm going to try to do is, so it doesn't look too ridiculous, is I want to take and I want to drag this one over as tight as I can. I don't want a big gap between all of this. Alright? We're going to recenter him again. Great. Now, here's the problem that I have with the bear. I'm going to go in now and I'm going to highlight just the bear. Anything else that you, let's say you went too far in highlighting him and you touched some of this piece of this little grassy knob coming down, just hit your shift key. Hold your shift key down, highlight him, and edit that. Now the problem that I see here is the scale. This almost looks too big. The bear is almost as big as the cabin. So what we'll do is we're going to resize the bear. And in this case, I did him at a width of 4 inches. So we're going to change the width to 4 point, and we're going to have link X and Y box checked, and it's going to reconfigure him. Beautiful. He is a much more reasonable size of scale in conjunction with the cabin. Alrighty? The other thing we're going to do is we're going to move him. I'm going to move him down a little bit. I'm going to still keep him at least a ½ inch up, but I am going to move him. Alrighty. Now, let's zoom in on this piece. The next thing I want to do is I want to take a piece of all this, and I ultimately want to tie him in with the tree line over here. I don't want to leave this big open void between the two, okay? So the other thing we're going to also do is we're going to mirror image this piece right here. So let me go to back to my Edit Object selection mode. I'm going to hold down my Shift key. Now I told you, you may end up lighting up something else. Just continue holding your Shift key, unhighlight that, holding the Shift key down, and get rid of that. We're going to need to come up here. We're still holding our Shift key down. We're going to highlight all of this stuff. Some of it you might be able to hold the left mouse button down and do it in chunks. Some of it you're going to have to just continue holding your Shift key down, and you're going to have to do it independently, which is fine. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another single click. Take your finger off the Shift key. Make sure your pointer is somewhere on the highlighted area. When your box is lit up, you're going to right-click, copy, right-click, paste. Now what we're going to do is we're going to grab the center, and we're just going to move him out of the way. Alright, now I'm going to go over to Transform Objects, and we're going to mirror the selected object, flip him to the left, close this box out, left-click, highlight him again, grab your center, and we're going to pull him back in. You don't by any means have to have the exact same height or width here. We're looking to, excuse me, the mouse is a little sensitive this morning. We basically need to take and let's look at Transform Objects. We're going to reset his size, and we'll go 10 inches. We'll click Apply. Okay, now we've shrunk him down just a little bit. Left click him somewhere where he's highlighted. Now in the event you click off of him, under selection mode, hold down your left mouse, build a box around him, and re-highlight him, okay? Light him back up so we can move him. And we can offset him just a little bit. So he's in here. There we go. Now, granted it's a mirror image, but it's a little bit smaller to scale. Alright, so now we're going to come over and we're going to take a section of this island over here, this little outcropping of rock with trees on it. Same thing again. We're going to highlight this. We're going to come in, hold down your shift key, and click all of these little pieces. Alright, we've got everything highlighted. Click somewheres back on one of your pink dotted lines. We see the box around the item. Right click, copy, right click, paste. And we're going to drag this one right out of the way. Alrighty. What we're also going to do, let's get him up out of the way here a little bit. We're going to come over to mirror selected objects again. We're going to flip him to the left. Great. Close out your mirror image box. Highlight him again. And let's drag him down. Now, for this particular piece, he's a little larger than I would care for. We'll go into resizing him. Please bear with me while I double check what I've done over here. I ended up going 5.89. And I did a manual entry here of 9.89. Alright. Now granted we stretched it just a little bit, but that's really no big deal. Again, we highlight everything, and we're going to pull him down because I want to do my best here to try to offset him on this piece. Now the other thing I'm going to do that I'm not real crazy about is I really don't like this big open gap right in here. Alright, but we're going to get to that in just a second. Now, to try to keep this so that it doesn't look too mirrored, we're going to come in here and we're going to get rid of this piece of the outcropping on this design. So we're going to go to our node edit function. I'm going to light him up. And right here, I'm going to right click, delete the span. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to right click and I'm going to delete this span. I'm going to highlight him and I'm going to come over and I'm going to, under edit objects, we're going to close vectors with a smooth curve. That's done. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to our node editing function. And I am going to highlight this box and hit D on my keyboard. Again, hit D. Some of these nodes we can take right out. You can hold down your left mouse button or you can hover over the object and hit D. Now these look foolish like this, so I'm going to hover over them. I'm going to hit D on my keyboard, or you can also right click and hit delete point. Oh goodness. If you take something out, just undo it. Right click, delete point. Delete the point. Right click, delete the point. Delete the point. I want to have a little break up here. And again, you design this however you feel, okay? We'll go in and we'll go back to our selection mode and we're going to highlight all of this and we're going to get rid of it. We'll hit delete. Now, what it's done is it has opened up a little bit of a waterway here, if you would. You can also drop in some ducks if you'd like. Feel free to do with this as you see fit. I've told all of you that, okay? Now, I may do the same thing over here. This outcropping, it doesn't end with anything. So I really don't like it. That's my personal preference, but go up to your node editing button. We're going to do the same thing we just did. Now, if we look at this, we start to have a pretty good scene. You got a little inlet here. Maybe you could drop in a couple kayakers. You could maybe put in some loons. There's some of those in the package. Alrighty. Now, we've got this big barren space here. I'm going to come in I'm going to hit node edit again. We're going to light him up. I'm going to pull some of these nodes over. And like I said, this is just one of many ways to do this. I'm not by any means the profound expert here. But this is just through months and months and years of playing with this software. Again, we're hovering over, we're hitting D on our keyboard. You can also take and you can get rid of all of these. Left mouse button, highlight them, click them, hit D on the keyboard. We're going to get rid of them. I'll come over here. You can do the same thing with this one. You can take and you can stretch them down. You know, I want to try to do my best to give all of you the best possible information I can. You just basically want to do this so you can blend everything and not make it look too obtrusive. Well, by all means, feel free to highlight under your edit objects, hit your selection mode, go in, highlight some of this stuff, right click. Oh, I'm sorry, wait a minute. Under selection mode, highlight it, highlight the box, right click, copy, right click, paste. We'll zoom in with the mouse wheel. Drag the excess over. So your water effect doesn't have all these voids in it. You can add more to the middles. As far as your rock structure up here is concerned, you can highlight a bunch of this. I'll hold down my shift key because I'm going to want just a little bit more information. Alrighty. Oh, I'm sorry. Highlight him, right click, copy, right click, paste. Alright, we're going to drag him out of the way. We can drag him up in the middle a little if we want. We can see that some of this is not going to fit. Unhighlight him. We're still in selection mode, so let's delete that piece that's overhanging. Hold your shift key down. And then highlight the whole area again. Let's drag him. We'll rotate him if we have to get him to fit in. Like I said, this is just one way. This is not, like I said, this is not the profound, absolute must do it this way. But we break up our scene. Now, the one thing I'm going to emphasize before we start cutting toolpaths is this. This bear was originally fitted on like a 12 by 12 or 12 by 16. If we zoom in on him, we can see that there is a massive load of detail, and we have also shrunken this bear down. We've rescaled him down to, let's look at his size. He's 4 wide, 2.87 high. If we were to leave him, when we go to cut the toolpath, what's going to happen is there's so much detail, one toolpath may bleed into another. You're gonna basically cut things out. Now, I'm not gonna get too deep into this. I'm gonna leave this up to you. Under your selection mode, hold down your left mouse key and go in and look at him. Really, really look at him. Okay? Let's unhighlight him and let's look at areas. Okay? I would personally go in and I would start deleting some of the smaller stuff out. These little bits and pieces, just get rid of them. Left click on your mouse, hit your delete key, get rid of them. Because what's going to happen is some of these, if we look at the size of them, let's look at the size of this one. He's 40 thousandths by 8 1,000ths. I mean, you're talking minuscule here. Save only the big pieces that are going to be rendered. And then what I would do after I get rid of all the little cabbage in here is I would go back, I would import him Or I would save this one tool path to this exact size that he is, 4 wide by 2 point, and I would mill him separately. Whether you do this with the deer, the moose, the other bear, nonetheless, if this is something you're going to do for a client or even yourself, you don't want to go through the whole scene and then turn around and come to find out the bear is going to mill out so much, with so much detail, that he in fact is going to end up looking like a silhouette. If that's the case, just do the bear as a silhouette, okay? Alrighty. Now, let's start cutting tool paths for all of this. We basically have our half-inch square. Let's delete him. Let's let's open up our tool paths function. What we're going to do here is we're going to zoom in on this one piece. Excuse me. And we're going to go over to Edit Objects. We're going to pull up a VCarve Pro. I am using a 1/4 inch 3 fluted 60-degree V-bit. You're going to have to set your feeds and your speeds to your particular piece of equipment. Alright? We're going to take and we're going to highlight the cabin first. The whole cabin is now highlighted. We're going to call the first tool path C-A-B-I-N, cabin. Let's render that tool path. Our yellow bar down at the bottom is doing our thing. Okay, we now have the cabin rendered. Let's close the box. Let's unclick it. We're going to do our next piece. And let me actually, I'm going to take and move the bear right out of here for the moment. It's going to just make working with him a little bit easier. Alrighty. The next tool path we're going to do is going to be this group of trees. I told you we're gonna end up losing a couple pieces, so hold down your shift key. You may have to highlight them one by one, holding down your shift key. Once we have it all highlighted, we're going to click calculate. Again, we see our yellow progress bar at the bottom. Alright, that's done. We are going to call this, though, trees right. I'll just calculate them again one more time. Excellent. Let's scale down. Alright, let's uncheck the box. Now, we're going to come over and we'll put Mr. Bear back in. Like I said, you're going to want to work the detail on him. There's no doubt about that. And the other thing I think the original program included was we actually took this. Okay, I right-clicked it. Okay, excuse me, I'm sorry. I right-clicked, I highlighted it again, then I right-clicked, I copied, right-click, paste. Because I want to add just a little bit of effect here. And what it looks like is we've now got a hill, because we know that there's a nice buck run going through here, fellas. We know that. All right. So it now gives a little bit of structure. Feel free to even take another piece. Resize your bear. Technically, that to me would be a pretty big bear, but all right. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to open up another path. We're going to come in down at the bottom under our selection mode. We're going to highlight all this. Now, the one thing I can't stress enough, while we hold our selection button down, we're going to go in. Oh, goodness. And we're going to grab the last of it. Now, with each piece you decide to do, depending upon the size of your table, look at object size. Okay, we are 21.49. This is basically the biggest piece of this this VCarve Pro toolpath for this segment. Okay, even with a 24 by 24 inch bench top, ladies and gentlemen, you are going to be able to render this. All right. So let's take We're going to close him out. We're going to call this trees center. All right? We're going to click calculate. Again, you're going to have to bear with me for a moment while it renders the toolpath. All right, the toolpath is rendered. Let's uncheck it. Now let's move over to the far side of this. Same thing, under selection mode, hold down your left mouse button, highlight everything. Okay, we're going to call this left side. Left side trees and rocks. You'll see in the program that I actually include with this, okay, what we've done. All right, now that is rendered. Basically, we have run every toolpath less the bear. Again, I can't urge you enough, because if you see him right now, he's black. If we zoom out, he now looks like a silhouette, because that is literally how much definition is in him. Again, you'll have to go back in, or you'll have to zoom in and look at him. You can always click on these little bits and pieces and just check the size of them. I mean, he is literally 20 thousandths by 7 100ths of it. Yeah, no. You're going to want to go in and delete all these little pieces. You know, you may want to take some of these that have a little bit of size to them and move them so you don't have bald spots. But nonetheless, you may want to rescale the actual animals. And again, you can go in. You could also import another animal if you chose. You could put the buck going over the log. You could do, maybe you could put a little raccoon down here or something, or a little family of raccoons. It is entirely up to you how it is you choose to do this. But now with all of the toolpath functions rendered, the last one we will do is we're going to hypothetically say that you have rescaled the bear. We're going to rename him Bear. Like I said, you may choose to use the deer, whatever you choose. That's entirely up to you, as always. Let's close him out. Now, we're going to pull up. We're going to do the toolpath color as black for the sake of the example. And we're going to preview all the toolpaths. And there we have it, folks. There is your wildlife scene. Now, if you have a young artist in the family who, let's say they, oh, I don't know, maybe they're airbrush artist, or, you know, you want to put some color in this, you can see there's some gaps here. Always render your image. You can always go back and you can put some extra pieces in. Let's say you want to pull these three in. Again, highlight the box, right-click copy, right-click paste. Try not to let anything supersede into another toolpath. There we go. All right. It'll break it up, give you a little bit of rockiness here. Let's say you want to, oh goodness, let's see here. Let's say this one tree, you don't like it being the exact same size. Like again, if you highlight a toolpath you didn't mean to, hold down the shift, click on it. Let's come into here, still holding down the shift button, highlight all this stuff up. And let's say you want to adjust the width. And all you want to do is maybe you want to go with just the height. Take them up to 5 inches. Hit calculate. Or hit apply, rather. I'm sorry. You can also do this with a node. You can pull them down a little bit. Okay, close them out. It's a tree. I don't know of any tree out there that's perfectly symmetrical. Go back in, look at your trees right. You'll have to you'll have to click on it. And you'll have to recalculate the toolpath in order for it to take effect. Again, you have to wait for the yellow line at the bottom on the bar to finish up. We hit close, unhighlight him, and this is how we work it. Basically, I don't want the gaps that we have in some of the, oh goodness, I don't want some of these big gaps here. So keep working them. You know, work on just your width. Uncheck your box. We'll come over here. Let's say I don't want this big gap here. I'll come in, I'll highlight just this one tree. Again, you're missing anything, hold down your shift key. Let's come over to selected objects. We'll adjust our width to, let's say, 4 point. Alrighty. We'll click apply. There we go. Again, just go back in and take and recalculate those toolpaths. Alrighty. Now, in the next segment of this, we're going to basically show you how to take and how to find all your centers to render you a diagram in which to mark up. Okay? So folks, everybody please stay tuned. We've got more to come.